years or so, and we got spent billions of dollars in those countries like Colombia and Peru, and we can't make a dent. So basically, we got more drugs today than we did 5, 10 years ago. So that's got to tell you that the law enforcement issue has not worked. So we need to change this into either prevention, education, or treatment, and that's the major problem.
Why? Okay, so if that's true, and I'm not saying it isn't, I mean, I think you're probably right. Yeah. But if that's the case, why aren't Barack Obama and John McCain talking about this huge issue?
Well, it's the bastard child of the government. I've always said that we are. I remember the CIA showing me satellite photos of all the cocaine labs in South America, and I said, well, why don't we just pick them out? We know exactly where they are. And CIA officials turn around and say, well, that would collapse our banking system, and we could do that. And it's shocked to know that, for example, in South Texas, we got a bank in every block of South Texas. So, it's very much instrumental in our economics. And if you look at the money laundering operations that are occurring, you've got banks that are owned by the cartels and so forth. They're laundering money in the U.S. Very simple.
So, do you think that the average American has any idea at all that the CIA was involved in this drug line?
Well, all you gotta do is Google the CIA drugs, and you will get a lot of documentation of how
Yeah, I'm not disputing that you could find it. I'm asking, do you think that without doing the research, do you think that the average American has any clue about this at all?
Well, not that they have any clue, is that they're in denial, number one.
Right.
If you ask people that said, oh no, our government could never do that, but then you ask the professionals, and they'll say, well, we know that, but that's part of how our government has worked all these years. And in reality, people that are educated will say, yeah, we understand that, and we know that they've been doing it for many years. And the other people, the generation that we have coming up here, really don't care. And that's the fact about the whole issue.
That's probably a very good point. But is this a Canadian problem? I mean, is this one of those things that the Canadians up here can kind of say, oh, those silly Americans and their ridiculous drug war? Well, something like that would never happen here in Canada.
Well, that's why I'm here. Educate the public and let them know. And, they're when you have I'm having a debate on the 15th with Professor
Daryl Plekas.
Yes. Yeah, and he makes a lot of statements that America's crime and drugs have declined for the past 10 years, and that's absolutely wrong. We still got more drugs today than we did 5 years ago. So obviously, still, we got the crimes, we got the gangs, we got everything, and the MS, which is the biggest gang organization in the world, is now coming into Canada, and they've taken over. You used to hear about the Hells Angels, you used to hear about the blacks and the running the drug trade, and now it's the MS that's running major organizations into all over the world. So that's the problem that we're going to have here in Canada. That the gangs that's coming in, it's going to be devastating.
It's interesting you show up in Abbotsford of all places. I mean, not just because of the association with Tim Felger and Daryl Plekas, but also because, Abbotsford is a city that's got all these problems you're talking about. I mean, the Tim Felger has got his Decline bookstore in downtown Abbotsford. Kind of gives you a hint that there's something going on in that city as it is. But, Abbotsford also has a bit of a gang problem as well. And we're starting to see that more and more and more. I mean, are we seeing these gangs proliferate because of the failed drug war, in your opinion? Or is it just...
Well, absolutely. If you take prohibition, you won't have the gangs and you won't have the people selling drugs out, and you take the profit out. If you legalize marijuana, the same thing. But the problem is that the governments are never going to do that because obvious reasons, different reasons, and that they're not going to do that. Corporate America is involved in it. You know, for example, you go into a bar, instead of ordering $8 beer, $4 beer, you'll buy a joint, a 50-cent joint, or whatever you want to call it.
Absolutely.
And they're not going to allow that. You know, and that's why, you know, talk about hemp. It's one of the best materials in the world, and yet they won't be legalized anywhere. DuPont will never allow that to happen.
No.
So, you know, it's all political, it's all America and so forth, and that's the problem that we're having. And I'm down here because, you know, I could very well start in Vancouver or Toronto or somewhere else, but, you know, I go where I get invited to speak, and I do lecture, and the best thing about my lectures are the Q's and A's, and that's what the people really want to know, and how, and so forth. And so you point to the right direction where they can get their own analysis of the situation, and they can make their own opinion of what happens. And of course, not many people can agree, and some of the conservatives will not agree. But you know, if you look at one of the things I do say is that one out of 4 immediate families now in the U.S. Either use drugs or sell drugs. So you know, we're losing a lot of our generation kids get arrested for nonviolence possession of marijuana and going to jail, which means they'll probably never get a chance to go to college again, because once you get convicted for a drug violation, you can use all those benefits. So you know, it's a shame that it's nonviolence. You know, and a lot of people. I mean, I'm sure you know a couple of people, maybe in your immediate family or somebody that actually smokes marijuana, or you know. And that's
well, I mean, okay, you opened the door, so I'm going to walk through it. Cele, is that how I pronounce your name, Cele? Am I saying that right?
That's right. Okay, yes, sir, that's fine.
I mean, you open the door there. Yeah, there are some people that I know who I care a lot about who do use marijuana. The problem is they're 15 years old, and they're getting this stuff, you know, obviously from their brothers who might be dealing it themselves, or from dealers on the street. And my problem with it, and this is what I can't wrap my head around, is I tell these kids, stay away from marijuana. Don't go near it. Not at your age. When you get to be 19 or whatever, then you can do whatever the hell you want, because then you're old enough and you're supposedly mature enough to make good decisions. And you know, there are a lot of really smart people, a lot of really educated people who know what they're talking about, who use marijuana. That's cool with me. I don't have a problem with that. The problem that I have, sir, is that we've got some of these 15-year-old kids who are doing nothing else but sitting around in schoolyards after school on the weekends, drinking, smoking pot, and, you know, that's a problem. Because, I mean, maybe it is, you know, hemp maybe is a great product, and cannabis might be one of the greatest herbs ever. That could all be true. But it doesn't change the fact that I'm looking at these 15-year-old kids, they're all stoned, their eyes are all red, they're just not themselves, they're not doing well in school. One of them actually dropped out of school. We reported that on the website. They seem to be struggling. They're not making great friends. And I'm concerned when I compare those kids against the kids who are using marijuana, who are in school, or are making good friends, who are on the honor roll, who are getting jobs, who are getting work experience. I look at that and say, what? I mean, I can almost come halfway and say, okay, maybe this drug thing isn't failing, but I don't like this the way these kids are using this stuff, and it bugs me to see it. What is the solution?
Well, the solution is education, for one. Prevention and treatment. What would you rather have one of your relatives that you know of that smokes marijuana? You rather have them sit and smoke marijuana or become an alcoholic? And that's the problem. When I landed here in this little city here, you know, nothing but alcohol stores all over the place. Beer stores. You know, people. It's like they're inviting the community to become alcoholics. And my God, I said, alcoholics will kill you in New York minute. You go out and kill somebody else. You know, and that's the problem with alcohol. You know, and you know, kids. You know, people say kids will be kids, but you know, you gotta educate them. And the parents, you know, you gotta understand probably the parents at one time or another use marijuana, or use drugs, or use, you know, you turn around and look at the homeless. You know, in the U.S., the homeless, the big percentage of our homeless people in the U.S. are veterans.
Yeah.
You know, and that's so sad, because I'm a big advocate on veterans affairs and veterans with PTSD, with post-traumatic stress disorder. And I certainly have to try and continue to try. I go to group meetings to try to help these kids out, especially the kids coming back from Iraq. And the sad thing about a lot of those Iraqi veterans are coming back. They're coming out of prison.